Hi, I'm Desi Serna, author of Fretboard Theory, Guitar Theory for Dummies, and Guitar Rhythm and Techniques for Dummies. In this free guitar lesson, I'm going to show you how to play the main riff in the song Born Under a Bad Sign, which has been made famous by Albert King and also Eric Clapton and Cream, which is the version that I've based this lesson on. This is a great example of using pentatonic scale patterns for guitar. And it's easy enough that even a beginner who's just getting started with scale patterns for the first time can follow along. In fact, you can follow along with Free Guitar tab. Just go to the link in the video description. To get my sound for this song, I'm playing a Paul Reed Smith DGT guitar. I'm using the humbucker. I'm going into a Fender Pro Junior amp, and I've got a Truetone VS-OX overdrive pedal. Don't really need any much more than that. So, okay, let's get started. This is in the key of G minor pentatonic, and I'm using what most players typically call pentatonic pattern 1. Looks and sounds like this. This riff starts on the 4th degree in the scale. I'm sorry, I don't want to confuse you. That's actually the 3rd note in the scale, but it's a 4th degree. It starts on C at the 3rd fret of the 5th string, and it climbs up the scale all the way to the B flat here at the 3rd fret on the 3rd string. And as you look at the music, I've got it in front of me here, it actually starts on the and of 2. So you rest on beat 1, you rest on the first half of beat 2, and then you start on the upbeat of beat 2. Sounds like this. So you have 1, 2. And from here, you go back to the 5th fret of the 4th string. That's your tonic pitch G. So that whole first phrase is... Okay, after that, you have an 8th note rest, and then you kind of begin that climb again, but you only take it this far to the 3rd fret of the 4th string, and then you jump over to the 6th fret of the 6th string, and you can put a slight bend on that, just like an 1/8 or a 1/4 bend, and then this leads back down to the tonic pitch in the lower register here, G. So the second half of the riff is... So the first half, second half, then it just repeats. Now the same thing is done on the bass, using the same corresponding strings on the bass, the E, the A, the D, and the G. I'll show you that in just a minute. But before we put the guitar down here, that's how you play the riff. And like I said, it's perfect for a beginner that's just getting started with pentatonic scales. You want to learn how do you riff in a pentatonic scale pattern. But aside from just playing it in pentatonic pattern 1 here, you could work it out at any of the other pentatonic patterns. You know that there are pentatonic notes are all over the fretboard, and each position has its own unique pattern. I cover this in my books and the video instruction that's on my website. So let me just quickly give you a couple of examples of how you could use this riff as an exercise to play in some of the other pentatonic patterns and get to know some of the other positions on the neck. So I'm going to move up into the next position and stay in the same scale, G minor pentatonic, but here's pattern 2. And I can start on the C note and climb up the scale. And then I go back to the tonic pitch G. Then again, I start on that C note. So that's how I could play the very same riff in a very same notes, very same riff. I'm just in a slightly different position here, and I'm using a portion of a different pentatonic pattern. might transpose this riff up an octave into the next register. So instead of starting on C here, you could start on C here and then just move up and down the scale in the very same manner. That was pentatonic pattern 1. I can do the same thing in pentatonic pattern 2. So I'm going to start here on C. Let me do that again. Here's the very same thing in the next position in pentatonic pattern 3. Now I'm moving up to the next position, pentatonic pattern 4. Here's pentatonic pattern 5. And finally, I'm an octave higher than I started. I'm back in pentatonic 1, but all the way up here in the 15th position. And I can even do this an octave higher. I don't have these other positions tabbed out for you. I'm just suggesting this as an exercise for you to go through on your own, using your ear and using your knowledge of the fretboard and following the notes and the pentatonic patterns to work out this riff in different positions, different patterns in different registers. That's a great way to get to know the patterns, to get to know the fretboard and the notes on the fretboard, to train your ear. And it's also a great way for to make these licks and phrases that are part of this riff, part of your playing, and that's going to help you learn how to compose and improvise on your own. You could even transpose this to different keys and do the same exercise in the key of A minor, or B minor, or C minor, or D minor, or something like that. All right, let me show you now the same thing on the bass. So we're in G minor pentatonic, starting here at the 3rd fret. I played that with my 1st and 4th finger and then my 1st and 3rd finger. You might want to use your 1st and 4th finger throughout, or a lot of bass players will kind of web their 3rd and 4th fingers together and use them together like this. Whatever works for you, that's fine. And you could play this with a pick. I'm playing using bass techniques, so I was using my index finger. You could alternate fingers as well. You can alternate and start with your index finger, alternate and start with your 2nd finger. It doesn't matter. So here's the riff on the bass. Again, it starts on the and of beat 2, so it's 1, 2. So, you know, you're starting here on C on the A string, and you play up the scale pattern. Then you go back to your tonic pitch G. Then you begin that climb again, but you cut it short. Come over here to your minor 3rd B flat. If you want to put a slight bend on it, you can. Then back to your tonic pitch. Or maybe you finger it like this. And just like on the guitar, once you get this down, you could try playing it in different positions and in different patterns. Whoops. You could alternate your fingers if you want. So that was a little bit of pattern 2. you might come down here. This is pattern 1. You know, pattern 5 comes before it if you're familiar with my scale instruction. So you could do something like. It's just good to see what your options are, get to know the fretboard, get to know the different pattern shapes that the scale makes, get to know how you can produce the same type of melodic movement in different positions and with different patterns. And by the way, I'm playing a Paul Reed Smith, a PRS SE Kestrel bass, and I'm plugged into a SansAmp bass driver direct box and going directly into a mixer. And there's a little bit of reverb on there. Well, I hope you have enjoyed this free guitar lesson. If you would like to learn more about music theory for guitar, including guitar scales, chords, progressions, modes, and more, then go to my website at guitar-music-theory.com. That's guitar music theory with dashes in between the words. When you get there, you can join my email list and sign up to take a free tour of my members area, where you can watch several preview videos of all of my fretboard theory instruction. Well, thanks for watching. Be sure to click like on this video and leave me some positive comments below.